Renaissance architecture originated in Florence, Italy in the early 15th century. Architecture was a major aspect of Renaissance life, and we can still see a few of these beautiful buildings in some of the most historic and beautiful cities in the world, such as Florence, Venice, Ferrara, Arezzo, and Rome. Renaissance architects were very important to the Renaissance because without them there would be no buildings. Some famous Renaissance architects are Filippo Brunelleschi, Andrea Palladio, Leon Battista Alberti, Michelangelo, Donato Bramante. The Renaissance was a very important era for architecture because during the Renaissance, architecture was much more than just buildings. It was a time of development where they used building structures like pillars and arches and domes to help them make bigger and more elaborate buildings. Some important Renaissance buildings are the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, the St. Peter's Basilica, the San Lorenzo Church, the Basilica of Santa Maria Novella, the Riccardi Medici Palace, the Villa La Rotonda, the Basilica di Santa Andrea. There are lots of very important Renaissance buildings, but here are a few of the most influential buildings. Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. The Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore is also known as the St. Florence Cathedral. It is located in Florence, Italy, and it is one of the first buildings of the Renaissance. It started being built in 1296 and was officially completed in 1436. The building was built by Arnolfo di Cambio, but later Filippo Brunelleschi was commissioned by the Silk Merchants Guild to build a massive dome on top of the St. Florence Cathedral. This was a huge technological advancement during this time, because no one had ever recorded building a dome of this size and weight. St. Peter's Basilica. The St. Peter's Basilica is a Renaissance church in Vatican City that was built from 1506 to 1626. The St. Peter's Basilica was designed by Donato Bramante when the Pope Julius II commissioned Donato Bramante to build a basilica. Donato Bramante designed the basilica, but the building of St. Peter's Basilica was carried out by the Renaissance sculptor Michelangelo. Basilica di San Lorenzo. The Basilica di San Lorenzo is a Renaissance church in Florence, Italy. It was originally built in 1422 and was completed in 1469 by Michelangelo. The church was originally designed by Filippo Brunelleschi, and the construction of the church was carried out by Michelangelo. The previous era before the Renaissance was the Middle Ages, a dark time for most people, but when the Renaissance swept through Europe, people realized they needed a change. Architects wanted to try something new, and this new style of building was born. People embraced this new way of building and appreciated it more and more over time. Here is an interview with Renaissance architect Filippo Brunelleschi, who speaks about his inspiration and ideas about architecture. Thank you. I'm here in Florence, Italy, with famous Florentine Renaissance architect Filippo Brunelleschi.
Thank you.
So, I have a few questions, Filippo, and I was hoping that you may be able to answer them.
Of course.
So, what inspired your building styles? Like, originally, what inspired them?
The thing that inspired my building styles the most was the ancient Roman ruins, especially the Colosseum and the Pantheon.
Interesting. What specific structures do you use? Like, what is your favorite style, specific structures, you know?
I quite like to use domes, and my favorite pillar style is the Corinthian. I like it because it is quite ornate.
Interesting. Okay, so what other architects have you worked with besides yourself, of course?
I have worked with Michelangelo on the St. Peter's Basilica, and I have also worked with Arnolfo di Cambio on the St. Peter's Cathedral.
Interesting, and that was really the highlight of your career, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I heard that you're friends with Donatello. How do you feel about him being named after a Ninja Turtle and not you?
Well, I guess that you can say that you can't win them all, but I guess it is nice not being associated with a giant turtle.
Yeah.
Also a ninja, but that would be kind of cool.
Also, my one final question is, how do you feel about being called the founding father of Renaissance architecture?
Well, like, it's quite nice because it's like something that like you can say at parties, because it's like, hey, I'm the founding father of architecture, and people are like, cool, yeah, I quite like it.
Interesting. Alright, thank you very much, Filippo.
You're welcome.
We're live in Florence, and we're standing off. Thank you.
A main influence of Renaissance architecture was the building style of ancient Greeks and Romans. The Renaissance took many influences from Italian architecture, such as the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, and the other ruins left behind by the ancients. Early architects of the Renaissance studied these building styles and integrated them into the buildings that they designed, starting the style of Renaissance architecture. Renaissance architecture has made an important impression on all architecture, and many modern buildings still use elements from this period of architecture.